So starting today's class off seated. And today's class, we've been doing a lot of stress relief classes lately. Today's class is for when things feel heavy and overwhelming, which is similar in that stress vein, but a little different. So in Ayurveda, there are 3 doshas, or 3 qualities of energy that we all have, some of each one. And the kapha is the earthy side. And so when you're here seated on your mat, you notice your hips and maybe the legs, maybe your feet connected down. You're tuning into kapha. And when you engage your abdominal muscles, like you were zipping up the core, you engage here, that's speaking more toward pitta, the fiery energy. And then vata is the wind, the airy energy. And we tap into vata when we're noticing our breath. So you might feel your hips, your legs, whatever anchors you down. And then notice the breath flowing in and out of the body. You can breathe toward the belly if you like. Or you might just notice your breath today. And then if you'd like to bring in a little more of that fiery energy of pitta, when you exhale, think of knitting the low ribs and the hips toward each other, like you were drawing or zipping up the front of the body here. And you can even think of giving the pelvic floor a little lift in the process. So when things feel heavy, when we feel overwhelmed, it's easy to kind of default into some excess kapha and to feel stuck or like it's hard to move. So cultivating a little bit more of that core activation and a little bit of movement with the breath can help balance that out. So we'll start off with a really simple movement, inhaling the shoulders up by the ears. Exhale, take the shoulder blades down the back like you were tucking them in your back pockets. Inhale, let them float by the ears. Exhale, tuck them in your back pockets. One more like this. Inhale them up. Exhale, tuck them in your back pockets. And then leaving the shoulder blades there. Take a moment and just find the fingertips to take a few little taps around the collarbones. I'm just going to wake up some spaces on the rib cage to help give us a little energy boost. And also to give us a little more space for when we're breathing. And then we might tap a little around the thymus gland. This is like a Tarzan tap here. That's tapping about the center of the sternum. And then we might tap around the low ribs here too. And this is a funny place for us. A lot of us are kind of stuck here and that the ribs don't move a whole lot there when we breathe. But they can actually move in 3 directions. They can move front to back, up and down, and right to left. So after you tap here, you might rest your hands on the low ribs and take a deep breath in, filling the belly and the ribs. And can you feel how the ribs lift in toward your hands? Or if they don't feel like they're moving, can you invite them to lift in toward the hands? Feeling the ribs move front to back, side to side, and maybe even a little bit of that subtle up and down. And then release the ribs, give the shoulders a roll or shrug. We'll draw some motion to the spine. Now, if you actually feel like you have lots of vata, it's super windy outside here today, so if you feel like your mind is really busy and you're just not grounded, you could use some heaviness. You'll focus on your hips here as we bring motion to the back. Or if things feel heavy, we're gonna focus a little bit more on the movement for the rib cage here. So we'll start off by hinging forward, hinging from the hips, and then starting to press the body around in a circle. And you get to pick if you want to make your circle really small. It can be a mini circle, or you can make it a little bigger if it feels good. And just notice, again, if your mind's really busy, maybe you are focused on the hips and grounding. Or if things have felt heavy, can you tune into the ribs and really notice just how much motion you can get with the rib cage there? Reversing direction when you're ready, rush or hurry. And maybe again, to add a little bit of lightness, we'll use our breath with this. Inhale as you circle forward. Exhale as you circle back. Take your time, no rush, no hurry. And when you find your way back towards center, we'll pause here and just notice how things are feeling. And then as you inhale, draw tall through the crown. As you exhale, take a gentle twist toward one side. Inhale it back towards center, lifting through the top of the head. Exhale, gentle twist. One more, inhale to center. Exhale to your gentle twist, focusing on lifting the crown of the head up as high as you comfortably can without lifting your chin. Releasing to come to center. And before we take our twist on side two, take just a little shift side to side. If your legs are crossed, you might switch the leg that's crossed in the front. Draw the spine tall, lift through the crown. Exhale your way to twist on side two. Inhale to center. Exhale to twist side two. One more, inhale to center. Exhale to twist side two. Pausing this time, maybe lifting a little taller through the crown. And then when you exhale, coming back to center. See if the shoulders need any shrugs, if the spine needs an adjustment. And then gentle back bending shapes are thought to be really helpful again when things feel kind of heavy. We'll send the fingertips back behind us. Inhale, lift and float the collarbones up. And your choice, you might look up if that feels good, or you could let your chin settle toward the chest. And take an inhale, see if you could roll the shoulders back, lifting the collarbones a whisker higher. And then when you find your next inhale, pressing with the core, float the fingertips tall. Take an exhale, hinge from the hips, folding forward. Breathing into the back while you're here. Inhale, draw it back up to center. If the legs are crossed, maybe we switch the leg that's in front as the fingertips come back. Inhale, lift the collarbone, maybe looking up. Next inhale, can you roll the shoulders back like you were pressing the ribs up high? Exhale, hinging from the hips as you fold forward, seated forward bend. If you'd like to stay off the hands today, we'll take cat and cow here, seated by rounding and arching. Or we can make our way toward all fours, maybe using a blanket and under the knees. Using the exhale to round the back up. Inhale, gentle arch. Now you might revisit the core integration we talked about on Tuesday. That's drawing the pelvic floor in and up, And then zipping up the core, thinking of drawing the hip points toward each other, taking the low ribs toward each other. And it might really change your shape for cow. Here it might not let you go down as far in cow to do that. But it could be really supportive for this spine, especially if your low back has been tight or tired. And then when you're ready, we'll walk the hands forward, finding puppy stretch. The melting heart, Anahatasana. Collarbones sink toward the mat. Hips reach away as the hands press into the mat. As you inhale, start to draw this up. And then we'll explore a little waking up of upper body strength here. So if things are tired, if you need a gentle practice today, you might settle hips back to heels and rest in child pose. Or if it's comfortable to wake up a little bit of upper body strength, we'll walk the hips ahead of the knees to find a kneeling plank. And then we'll send the elbows out wide to the sides as we take a little soften down and a little pressing up. We want to watch that we're keeping the core really active. So the belly button draws into the spine, the hips and the low ribs hug in toward each other. We can exhale it down and inhale it up. Nice work. Try one more like this. And then we'll all settle hips back to the heels and meet in child pose. Breathing in when you arrive. Notice if there's any warmth in the shoulders. As you exhale, walk the hands to the right, settle hips to the left. Inhale to center. Exhale, hands left, hips right. Inhale to center. Take a pause here, maybe rocking the eyebrow area on the mat. Now, yogi's choice to rest. If you do want more grounding, you can soften and settle down. If you'd like to bring in a little more of the core piece, you might hold a plank or hold a down dog, focusing on knitting the low ribs toward each other, drawing the pelvic floor in and up, maybe holding in your plank or your down dog. Or for flow, if things have felt heavy. Inhale to plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, down dog. And take your time with it, but the flow is thought to help. If things feel heavy, it's a way to get moving, to bring things back in motion. No rush or hurry. Take your time with what feels best today. When you're ready, no hurry, no rush. We'll start to make our way back to meet on all fours. Take a moment to give the wrists a little attention. Maybe sending fingers back toward one knee with the palm up. Maybe palm up, fingers up to the side. Maybe we try palm up, fingers forward. And then let's try palm down, fingers back toward the knee. Palm down, fingers out to the side. And then when the palm is down and fingers are forward, we'll switch sides. Palm up, fingers toward the knee. Palm up, fingers out toward the side. Palm up, fingers forward. You can keep turning it the same way if you like, or you might spin the arm around. And then we'll take palm down, fingers toward the knee. Palm down, fingers out to the side. And then when we get palm down, fingers forward, you can sit the hips back and just see if the wrists need anything else. Need a little circle or side to side motion. Or maybe just a little squeeze. When you inhale, find your way to all fours, toes curl in underneath. Exhale, shift and lift, downward facing dog. Pedal in, bend one knee and the other. And as you exhale, we can step, walk, or you might try a few little hops. Bending the knees, and just hopping the feet a couple inches. And when you reach the top of the mat, settle in forward bend. Gentle nod yes or slow shake no. Exhale, bend the knees, hips back behind. Inhale toward your chair pose, Utkatasana. Maybe we float the arms if it feels good. Maybe we focus on that pitta, that fire, by drawing hip points and low ribs in toward each other. And inhale all the way tall and exhale, floating the arms down by the sides. Take a moment to arrive here in Tadasana, maybe with a couple shakes, adjusting anything that needs it. And explore taking the feet about hip width apart. Knees are soft. And just notice where your attention goes in the body. If things feel heavy, if you feel down or depressed, we'll often notice not a whole lot. Maybe the thing we feel is the breath. Sometimes when things feel down and heavy, our legs feel like lead. That's all we notice is the lower part of the body. So just notice what your attention settles on. And then let's anchor evenly through those 4 points on each foot. The knees are soft, they have a micro bend, but the legs are really active here. Find neutral for the hips. And lift tall through the crown, letting the shoulder blades drop back toward the hips. Noticing how you feel standing in that nice active Tadasana. And then when you're ready, we'll be a little bit playful here and explore how it feels to float our heels up and to sink the heels down. I mean a little float and lift, a little soften and settle. We'll take one more like this. And then as you settle down, notice if your Tadasana is still as active with the feet, the core, the shoulders, the crown lifting tall. And then we'll try a little variation here. Go ahead and step one foot in front of the other, just a few inches. So maybe the toes on the back foot would meet the middle of the front foot. So our feet are staggered a bit. And then with those staggered feet, see about floating the heels and softening them down. This could feel really different. Use an exhale to settle. One more like this, float and settle. And then slide that foot back to Tadasana. Notice how things feel. And then we'll switch sides. Now the other foot comes forward in a little stagger. We inhale, float the heels. Maybe this side is easy, or maybe this side is more challenging. Inhale to float. Exhale to settle. One more like this. And then back to Tadasana. Take a moment to check in. So we just brought some motion, especially for the calves. Does this change what you notice when you're here? And then we have one more to play with. We'll try turning the toes out, the heels toward each other, taking a little duck stand shape here. And with our duck stand, if we float and sink, just notice how that feels. Last one, we float and sink, and then find Tadasana. And then Yogi's choice, you might stay in Tadasana if your Tadasana feels amazing now. Or we can add a little bit more motion and a little length for those calves by softening the knees. Inhale, sweep it up. Exhale, hinge and swan dive down, forward bend. Notice the back of the legs, especially here. Now, if there's lots and lots of stretch, if it's too much, bend the knees as deep as you need. Or you can explore lengthening one leg and bending the other knee. Like you're walking your way into shape. And if that feels good, you might even try resting the left fingertips on the mat, bending the left knee and inhaling that right arm up tall. Back stays long as we exhale down. Maybe inhale towards side two, head reaching away from the hips. Exhale down. It's just an option to twist here, not a requirement. Exhale down. Inhale, float. And if you're twisting, we might take one more each way. Inhale, tall. Exhale down. Take a moment to release if it feels good. And then bend the knees, framing the feet. Big step back with the right foot. And your choice, you can settle the right knee to the mat, or you can keep it floating. And we'll inhale our way up for kneeling lunge or a high lunge. Exhale, settle hands to the heart. Take a pause, tune in, notice where your attention is. Does it feel like a stretch here in the hip and the leg? Does it feel like a challenge to maintain when you're balanced? And then when you're ready, release the hands down. If it's comfortable, invite them behind the back and see if they could clasp. Could they roll the shoulders back and down from the ears? And if they can, would it be comfy to keep the core active, but to try a mini back bend here? And inhaling your way back to center. Exhale, hinge from the hips, coming toward humble warrior. Your choice, back knee can be down for stability, or we can float it again. You can release the hands if you need them. They might reach away. When you're ready, exhale, bring them down to frame the foot. We'll spin the back toes out, setting up for warrior two. Inhale, cartwheel your way up for warrior two, Virabhadrasana two. Making sure left knee heads out in the same line as the left toes. Float back arm down, front arm up. Exhale, settle forearm to thigh, back arm might lift high. Inhale through warrior two, floating the front arm. Exhale, float through warrior two, side angle. One more each way. And then this time as we find side angle, we might take a moment to pause, really lengthening the right side of the body. Exhale, cartwheel it down. Frame the foot. Slide or step back, all fours or high plank. One breath here. Exhale, hips high, down dog. Yogi's choice. Hold it for more fire. Soften down for a rest. Or take 3 vinyasa flows if you'd like. if that's what your body needs today. No rush or hurry with it. Taking your time. Being kind to your body, noticing how it feels today. When you are ready, we'll make our way back to meet in down dog. So if you're lifting up from the mat, toes curl under. Exhale, hips high. Spin the biceps forward. And as we move to the top of the mat, we can step, walk, or maybe we try a few little hops, reminding ourselves that we can have a little lightness there. When you find the top of the mat, soften and forward bend. Maybe taking a little rock. As you exhale, bend the knees. Belly button to spine, floating up for chair. Exhale, inhale, inhale, takes it all the way tall. Exhale, the arms down by the sides. Take a moment to settle in your Tadasana, maybe with a shake or an adjustment. And then this time we'll float the heels, but we'll borrow from Qigong here. We'll inhale, the heels float. Exhale, they drop. Inhale, they float. Exhale, they drop. You say that helps to get rid of any stuck or stagnant chi, which can also lead to us feeling kind of heavy, depressed, immobilized. One more. And then finding your Tadasana after the heel drops. Anchor all 4 points of the feet, soft knees, neutral hips, engaged core, shoulders back and lifting from the head. Stay put in your Tadasana if you like. Or we'll have a little fun with balance next before we go to side 2. Shifting the weight and just exploring if one heel could float out to the side. We can stay here and play, just floating. Or we could add on a little more and see what would happen if we took the knee out to the side. So this is a little rotation in the hip to point the knee out to the side. For some people, this will feel easier. For some, this will feel more challenging. And you can stay there just floating and playing. You might even rest a hand on a chair. Or you could float the foot to the calf. Or maybe even float the foot to the thigh, settling in for a tree pose. Check in with the hips. Make sure that they're still headed toward the top of your mat. And maybe the arms will stay low if you need a sense of grounding. Or to help cultivate that energy, we can inhale them up tall. We might even take a little exhaling across, inhaling to reach. So they say it's really good for our brain anytime we're crossing our limbs over the midline. You can also play with eagle arms, making an eagle in your tree. And then whenever you're ready, no rush or hurry, release the arms. See if you could float the foot down, slow and with control. Take a little shake when you land. And we'll play with tree on side 2. Now, toes can even be down in tree. Maybe foot to calf. Maybe foot to thigh. Maybe we're checking in with the hips to make sure that they're still headed forward or toward the top of the mat. Maybe we stay lower. Maybe we find our little bit of floating. Maybe exhaling to cross. Inhaling to reach. How's your breath in your tree today? No rush, no hurry with it. Maybe you're adding an eagle to your tree if you like. You did that on side one, trying to reverse the arms for side two. And then when you're ready, gently releasing the arms. Can we release the legs slow and with control? Coming down gently to land in Tadasana. Notice what feels active. And then if you'd like to take one more little bit of fun for the calves, this one we have to be really mindful of the knees. Don't do this if it bothers your knees. We'll pigeon toe in a little. And that can even be just a whisker of a pigeon toe. Or if it's comfy, you can turn the toes in, the heels out a little more. And explore if you can float the heels here. For me, this one is the trickiest. That's not the case for everyone. Inhale, can they float? Exhale, can they settle? One more. And then let the feet find their hip width apart. Notice your Tadasana. Use the inhale to float arms up. Exhale, hinge from the hips. Swan dive down, forward bend. Relax the neck, gentle Madhyas or slow shake no. Yogi's choice, if you love the twist, go ahead and soften the right hand down and inhale the left arm up. Taking this twist if it feels good, if it feels right. You can exhale down and inhale to reach. Exhale to lower and inhale to lift. One more each way if you love the twist. Maybe tucking the chin a whisker. Keeping the head reaching away from the hips when we're here. As you exhale down, relax the neck. Soften the knees. Big step back, left foot. Yogi's choice, we can keep the back knee up for more challenge or settle it down for stability. Inhale your way to high lunge or your kneeling lunge. Exhale, settle hands to the heart and take stock of the shape. What do you notice on this side? Is it a stretch in the front of the left hip? Is it a challenge to lift without overarching the back? Releasing the hands down with the exhale, maybe joining them behind the back, or even reaching for an opposite wrist or elbow. If it's comfy, we'll engage the core as we find a mini back bend. And then gently hinging from the hip to find our humble warrior. Maybe if the hands are clasped, they lift away. Can you breathe when you're here? When you're ready, exhale, release the hands to frame the foot. We'll float the back knee if it was down. Spin the back toes out. Cartwheel up for your warrior two. I'm going to spin just so it's easier to see. But you can start by sinking the back arm, floating the front, reverse warrior. Then settle forearm to thigh, extended side angle. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, extended side angle. One more each, reverse warrior. Exhale, side angle. Pausing in this one, taking a moment to lengthen the left side of the body. Then finding our warrior two for a breath. Exhale, cartwheel, frame the foot. Slide or step back, all fours or high plank. One breath. Exhale, hips high, downward facing dog. Pedal in. And a little different yogi's choice. As always, you can rest, hold, or flow. Or if you want to have a little fun, if the hops were really helpful. What you might do here in your down dog is to walk your feet a little bit wider. And then just explore shifting your weight a little to the hands and a little to the feet. And if you soften the knees when the weight's on your hands, what would it feel like to hop there? If you push your hands down when you hop, could you find a little buoyancy? If you thought about those core movements, low ribs and hips hugging in, would that help? So just having fun with it, if you try the hops, it can be a good way to add a little bit of energizing, especially if you felt really down or heavy lately. No rush, no hurry with it. Take your time. It is a setup for a handstand eventually, maybe. But for today, it can just be a little buoyant hop. And then when you're ready, no rush, no hurry. We'll all make our way down to the mat to meet in a child pose, a place we can take a little rest. Maybe rock that eyebrow area on the mat. And give the arms any attention they need. And then when you find an inhale, gently making your way up towards seated. And this is where we might find the tennis ball. If you don't have a tennis ball today, don't worry. You can even use your hands to do just a little bit of massage. I had a student recently who used a potato in a sock instead of a tennis ball, and that worked just fine. We'll be drawing some attention. Well, wait, before I tell you, if you have a place you can tell your body is like, oh yes, please let it be the calves today, or please let it be the back. Listen to what your body needs. I'm planning on working on the arms today, thinking about that lung meridian. Those feelings of heaviness or depression, they're thought to affect the lungs. So that's where we'll work with the tennis ball, but if you want to work something else, that's great too. To start, we'll start with one hand. Just drawing some circles on a hand with a tennis ball. Maybe circling under where the fingers meet the hand. Maybe drawing some lines from where the wrist goes out to the fingertips. Maybe a circle on the side of the hand or the back of the hand. And then we might draw some circles around the wrist. And we could use our other hand to do that, or we can rest the arm on the mat if that feels good. And then to the forearm, again, you might just circle and explore. Or if we turn the palm up, that helps separate those two bones, the radius and the ulna here in the forearm. It makes them look more like railroad tracks. And we can roll the ball there, maybe getting into some of that interosseous membrane, thick, dense connective tissue in between. Forearms tend to hold a surprising amount of tension. And to really focus on the lung meridian, you'll want to give the thumb edge of the arm a little extra attention. Maybe drawing a few circles up that inner edge of the forearm. And just be gentle and kind. There's no rush or hurry with it. When you get to the elbow, you might just draw a couple of circles around your elbow too. And then as we go up in the upper arm, for the lung, we want to give that bicep area a little extra attention. But while you're there, it's good to help support the tricep and back of the upper arm too. And you can kind of explore here, see where it feels like things could use a little extra attention. And then we have the deltoid up at the top of the arm, part of the shoulder. You can circle up around here or draw lines if that feels good. And then in the front of the shoulder, that's where the lung meridian makes this little zigzaggy shape. So you might circle around there. And then just see if there's anywhere around the collarbone that feels good to give a little attention to. If there's anywhere else asking for your attention, like the shoulder, go right ahead. And take your time and explore this side. And whenever you're ready, don't rush or hurry, just take a pause before you go to side 2. And notice the difference between your arms. Does the one you just worked on, does it feel tingly or warm? Sometimes people say it feels bigger. And just notice that. We send a lot of information between our muscles and our brain when we do this kind of work. And then whenever you're ready, we'll move towards side 2. And if you're not working on your arm, that's just fine. Go right ahead, maybe moving to side 2 for what you're working on. Maybe drawing some circles on the hand if it feels good. Maybe rolling from wrist to fingertips. This hand could feel really different than side 1 as well. Maybe we roll a little on the side of the hand, like a karate chop, on the back of the hand. And then again, going around that thumb, giving that thumb a little attention to help support the lung meridian. We might draw a few circles around the wrist. And then for the forearm, again, we can be gentle using the other hand to roll and circle. Or we might try turning the palm up to uncross the bones in the forearm and gently roll here. So those two bones, the radius and the ulna, they're uncrossed this way. And then if we don't move our bicep, if we flip the palm over, they cross when the palm is down, and that gives us extra support and stability for things like plank. Those bones cross over in plank, and some of the other arm balance poses. But this helps to release that connective tissue in between the bones, as well as the fascia in and around those muscles. And these forearms are a place we often don't stretch. You know, for our back, we'll often take a moment to stretch the back. But the forearm muscles are a little different, a little trickier to fully stretch in the same way. So again, giving any attention that you like, that you need here, to focus more on the lung meridian, giving attention down that thumb side of the arm. Just drawing some circles there. Maybe you drawing a few circles over the elbow. And then moving to the upper arm. Again, for the lung meridian, the bicep side of the arm is good to pay attention to. But while we're here, we can also give some good attention to the back of the arm there, the triceps. This is a great way to relieve tension, to wake up some of the nerve endings in the arms, the upper part of the body, which, again, if we've been feeling heavy, dull, or a little depressed, this can help. It's like reminding your body that you have these parts, these arms that you can use to take action or to take care of yourself. Maybe circling up by the top part of the shoulder. And then your choice, you might head out across the front part of the shoulder, that little zigzag part of the lung meridian. Or you might roll, exploring the collarbone area. And taking your time with it, giving attention anywhere else that's needed. Maybe the upper back or the upper trap there where the shoulder meets the neck. And whenever you're ready, no rush or hurry. You'll take a little pause after side two and just notice how things feel in the body. Noticing what you're more aware of. Maybe the upper body and the arms. And then you might take a moment here to take the fingertips to the back of the neck and just slide them forward toward the front of the neck. This can help relieve tension. Working your way down the neck, and as you get toward the shoulder, when you get to this part here where the neck meets the shoulder, let the hands hang there, hanging on the upper trapezius muscles there. Way to relieve a little tension. And then as you bring your hands down, you can give them a little shake. And we'll start to make our way down toward our back on the mat. If you're loving the tennis ball work, it's okay to bring your tennis ball with you to bring more attention anywhere you need it today. Or we'll start to either hold behind one leg and roll down. Or you might use your boat pose, especially if waking up the core has been helpful. Think of lifting the pelvic floor in and up, drawing the hips and the low ribs toward each other as you float for your boat pose. And you can send that boat long and low. Nice and slow, taking your time to come down to the back. When you land there, if you're ready to just rest in Shavasana, feel free. Or if it feels good, I invite you to bend the knees, give them a little rock side to side. See if it feels good to draw them into the belly. And then we'll get ready to take a reclined twist here. This is reclined belly twist. And we'll start by sending the toes to the mat to help our hips slide over to the left. We'll tuck the knees back in and exhale them over to the right. That little slide of the hips helps keep the spine in one long line. And today I'd invite you to start by taking that left arm over to the right too, almost like you're resting on your side. And then as you inhale, open that left arm out and away, inviting the left shoulder down toward the mat. You can turn that head to the left if it's comfy. And we can just settle here if it feels great. Or if you want to add a little pretzel-y shape, slide your bottom leg, the right heel, toward your hip. And you can see if your left hand could find that right foot, and then settle the left shoulder back to the mat. Can you breathe when you're here? When you're ready, no rush or hurry. We'll release the bottom foot if we were connecting it. Inhale back towards center and take a moment to give the back a little rock. Moving towards side two, float the toes down, scoot the hips all the way to the right edge of the mat. Let the knees draw in and then settle them to the left with the exhale. We take that right arm over, resting on the side first. And then inhale, reach and open the right arm back, inviting the right shoulder toward the mat. That could feel really different from side one to side two. Just notice that. You can stay here and settle in and rest. Or now slide the bottom foot, the left heel toward the hip, maybe connecting right hand to left foot. You might look toward the right if that's comfy. Breathing while we're here. You stay put if it feels good, or when you're ready, Gently release the bottom foot, tucking the knees back to the belly with the inhale. And your choice, you might tuck and roll if that feels good, just rocking. You might press the feet up. And you can add the arms here too, giving the lymphatic system a little boost by moving the hands and feet. Or this is a great time for visiting bridge pose if that's comfy. Bringing the feet to the mat. We'll anchor elbows by the ribs. As you inhale, press and float the hips. And then your choice, you can keep grounding into the upper body to work the shoulder blades toward each other. Or you can also try clasping here, if that's comfy. Breathing into the shape, anchoring evenly through your feet. When you are ready, gently releasing the hands, floating the hips to the mat. Maybe crossing the arms over for constructive rest and settling here. Or if and when it feels good, we can find our Shavasana, our final relaxation. Lengthening the legs. The palms classically turn up toward the ceiling. That doesn't feel good on your back or anywhere else, it's always okay to bend knees or rest arms where they're comfy. If your blanket is nearby, you might add it anywhere you feel like you could use a little extra warmth or comfort. In these last few minutes of practice, give your mind, body, and spirit the chance to integrate all the work, all the information you found in practice. You can give yourself this opportunity to just be. If you're able to take a long Shavasana today, please do. Feel free to stay put. If you'd like to bring motion back, you might start wiggling the fingers and toes. Finding what's ready to stretch and draw out. To bend and draw in close. Take your time here. Don't rush or hurry. way, bringing motion back. When you're ready, we might rock our way to one side or the other. Use the inhale to press and lift. Finding your way toward a comfy seat. Maybe it's the same position you started class in today. Take a moment to check in and notice how things feel. Notice how you feel. Take any movement you need. Any motion for the neck. And when you find an inhale, sweep the fingertips up tall. Use an exhale, raise the hands toward the heart. Such a pleasure and honor and a privilege to practice with you today. You have a great day and namaste.